So, good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, kids and girls, excellencies, enthusiasts, interests. So, we welcome you today in Cesis. Those who are locally here, I say you are lucky ones. You can enjoy this wonderful discussion festival. Cesis, quite interesting discussion going on, and on the topic new approaches in residential building renovation. Can it be done faster and better? Quite a rhetorical question on which we will dig deeper for next bit less than 1.5 hours and see it whether we can solve and tackle some of the issues and solutions for this multi-apartment building sector. Um, well, I will use short my opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Edgars Augustinš. I will be moderator for this session. And before we delve into introduce with myself briefly. So basically, I'm really coming from energy efficiency sector, which is multi-apartment building sector, especially tackling from energy service company point of view. Therefore, there is like personal interest in this sort of topic. In meantime, I do have also experience in public sector what comes with really energy management and system and so on. But before we start and go deeper further with the questions, we have a very important thing to do. So we have address of Danish ambassador from in Latvia. So I may welcome, please, with round of applause, His Excellence Ambassador of Denmark to Latvia, Flemming Stender. Please.
Thank you very much. I'll start by repeating what I also said in the last session, that I'm extremely delighted to be back here at the Lampa Festival. I have been really looking forward to that for, I think, almost a year now, so it's really good to be back in beautiful Cesis. And once again, thank you to Green Liberty for once again allowing Danish Embassy in this event. So in this session, the issue is renovation of residential building insulation. I think already in a previous session somebody said that the cheapest energy is the one that we don't use, and with the high energy prices currently, I think this is more true than ever before. The buildings accounts for 40% of global energy consumption and 30% of global CO2 emissions. So it is quite important to renovate buildings. It is quite important to make new buildings as energy efficient as possible, but perhaps even more important to make existing buildings more energy efficient and renovate them, because some 80 or 85% of the buildings that we will be living in 2050, they are already been built, they already exist. So perhaps we should focus on them. So what have we been doing in Denmark? Where there's also, like in Latvia, a lot of buildings that needs renovation. Well, first of all, a few years ago, the government put up a very ambitious climate target to reduce CO2 emissions by 70% in 2030. And just recently, the new Danish government pushed forward our climate goal, climate neutrality goal from 2050 to 2045. So how to achieve this 70% reduction goal? Well, the government asked the business sector to figure it out themselves. So they created 14 different so-called climate partnership, where they ask each sector of the economy to come up with the solutions, proposals, recommendations on how to reach 70% climate reduction, because all sectors of the economy have to buildings. And they made 20 for how to to increase energy efficiency and reduce CO2 reductions. better regulation, more technology, better planning, as was discussed in the previous session, support schemes, yeah, more information, and so a lot of different things. But this is the way that we have been doing in Denmark, leaving it up to industry, businesses themselves to figure out the way forward and the way to a climate neutral society eventually. So we have a lot of experiences in Denmark when it comes to energy efficiency, and we have a lot of cooperation with Latvia in this regard. And I also would like to thank the whole panel in advance, but in particular the representative from Danish company Grundfos, who has come all the way from the western part of Denmark. So it's quite a journey. So thank you to you. Grundfos is one of the largest Danish companies producing pumps and with a lot of experience when it comes to energy efficiency. So thank you for coming here and sharing Danish experiences. Once again, to Green Liberty, thank you very much for allowing us to be here today, and I wish you a good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So, new approaches in residential building, can it be done faster or quicker? Throughout the conversation, we will today explore the various aspects, benefits, challenges and potential in multi-apartment sector, which is actually really screaming for deep renovation, at least for deep renovation. We have an exceptional lineup of panelists here today, each bringing their unique expertise and insights to the table. So their diverse background and experience will provide us with well-rounded perspective on the topic. Without further ado, I would say that I will introduce each of them today. So just beside me here is Janis Ikaunieks. He holds the master's degree in environmental science from Riga Technical University, certified independent energy expert what comes to the building energy efficiency and also as energy management. Janis currently is taking role of director of Riga Energy Agency with a big mission actually to reach the goal of climate neutrality of the Riga, and also tackling the sector of multi-apartment building with a specific target: 2,000 buildings by 2030 should be renovated in Riga. How much buildings right now is renovated in Riga?
Not so much.
Not so much. Okay, so the next one I have Carlis Lakshevits. So Carlis is a researcher and social anthropologist in the University of Latvia with interest in urban studies, social inequality and environmental issues. He teaches environmental anthropology courses at the University of Latvia, focusing on how natural conversations in practice by various organizations in social political context and the societal discourse surrounds the natural preservation. The next one is already quite a lot mentioned also from previous discussions. Asbjørn Bjergard Ebbesen, I'm right, yes. So, public affair advisor for Grundfos, working with the energy agenda in several European countries, including Denmark and EU. I guess, I really hope that most of you know how high quality circulation pumps are being produced by Grundfos, and you have heard that name. So thank you, Asbjørn, for your presence today. The next, Ilse Beinar. So the Deputy Secretary for Construction and Housing Policy in Ministry of Economics, with previous experience on elaboration of state policy for improvements of business environment, coordination of state policies for attraction of foreign direct investments, export, tourism, and promotion of innovation. And top of that, has participated in European Structural Fund, Support Program Evolution, and Procurement Commission. Thank you, Ilse, that you are capable. Actually, in really late Friday come to the thesis. And then we have the local actually producer company represented by Martin Sprisis, executive director of CMB Housing Solution. CMB Housing Solution specializes in construction and construction project expertise, construction design, construction supervision, construction process management, development of energy efficiency, and sustainable construction solutions. Quite a lot of words of efficiency, construction, so really deep in the sector of the construction and in energy efficient solutions. And we also have the sixth panelist, which actually is not me, I'm the moderator, but the sixth one is Dargo. He will join bit after one remotely from airport. So we hope that the technical gods will be with us and everything will work smoothly. But to shortly tell about Dargo Kalames, he's a professor of building physics, PhD at Tautech Science 2009, engages in research in the following areas like building enclosing structures, renovation of building, hydrothermal behavior of building structure, and so on, like simulation of boundary conditions, and really digging deep what's happening in the buildings before the renovation, after renovations, and how to live in safe environment. So round of applause is for all our panelists today. So yeah, but we have panelists, but also you may have noticed that we have also voting cards on your chairs. I would say those are your cards as referees. I will align them like you can imagine that you today are football referees. So basically, we will have plenty of discussion questions which will tackle the problems, the issues, and also some good solutions. And I would encourage you to use these cards and with following of my questions, express your feeling. Whether the provided solution is good, then you vote with the red card, red. So that's mean green, go on, we support this idea and the solution. In case you are not sure and you see that someone is really telling some unrealistic facts or living in some imaginary world, you have also rights to vote with a red flag or red card. So I will encourage you to be active. In case you will also raise the hands, be aware that I may ask you some questions and comments on this. So shortly really about what's happening here in Latvia and about the multi-apartment sector and how we do with the renovation. The fact is that during the current energy crisis, which we can really call the energy crisis from the last winter, which actually are driven by two factors. One is the post-pandemic recovery from COVID, and also the other one is the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Energy efficiency improvements of residential building has gained special relevance, if we can say like that, illustrating what has not been done and in the last decade, and actually what we have to deal with the really urgent matter. To go deeper, it's sure that the data which is present and is shown today is that energy consumption in residential sector accounts up to 30% of Latvian energy use, which is of course then a significant role of all policy established in Latvia, and also the targets which we have set, so that the residential sector plays an important role. And I always say that heating is an elephant in the room, so don't forget about that. If we are talking about amounts of the building, so those 30% are produced from 23,000 multi-apartment buildings, which actually really need to be renovated. And so far, in these 10 years, we have managed to do it like almost 1,600. And as you are maybe closed with the numbers, so it's actually really not that much as we need. And the renovation rate at the moment is from 2009 compared is actually 0.5 per year. The question of necessity of building renovation is longer debate for sure. However, the current approach has proven to be insufficient. So the housing stock is being renovated too slowly. Experts indicate that with the current rate and approach, we need at least 116 years to do it for all these buildings. That's way too much with my lifetime and also with my kids. So I would like to see that my kids are living in a bit better housing stock as we really are tackling today. If we are talking about support, then the support has been there and will be. That will be also discussed today. But if we are saying today that there is need to reach at least 30% of primary energy savings in multi-apartment building, then the question, of course, is whether it is enough to be done by once and we forget about these buildings, or we will have to return to them in 30 years. That's really the open question, how we set the target now and the ambitious goal now to actually live further. At the same time, of course, we like to compare our activities with neighboring countries. So I can say the neighboring countries is implementing a pilot project. At the same time, buildings built during Soviet times within the pilot projects really managed by governmental agencies. They do organize procurements for numerous buildings at the same time, and also there is some ideas how to insulate, be different as we are used to. That will be really tackle of presentation by Targo a bit later. And to be sure, so the construction period is taking a lot of time, so people are really passive, taking decisions regarding renovation, and also the point that people have the rights to make decision of the renovation has to be somehow tackled, whether there is missing amount of carrot or sticks or the motivation and also the huge mistrust between the residents. That's also the topic which will be really tackled today, because we have the social anthropologist Carlos on the stage, and he has digged in with his study that how people are making decisions, how they trust, and what's important for them today, and also looking further what comes to collaboration with the people and involved parties. So a lot of things to be tackled, therefore it's time for me to stop talking and give a chance actually to the panelists to dig deeper. I will start with the warm-up question for every one of you. Oh, Targo is here. Nice. I hope he hears us as well. The question is really from your professional point of view. I would like to shortly, in 2 minutes each of you, describe how you see the multi-apartment building sector right now. Are there any problems which is really present from your point of view which can be tackled quite easily, and how we can proceed further? Janis.
Yes, hello everybody. In Riga, we are, as Riga Energy Agency, responsible for facilitating energy efficiency in housing stock. And I'm here in agency, lead of agency for 2 years, and before that this was not priority, and we can see that therefore we are there where we are, and a lot of things needs to be done to facilitate and to improve our renovation rates. What we have done at the moment, we have a one-stop shop which helps step by step residents to move forward, but of course this is something which helps them to renovate the buildings for those who want to do that. We also work with trying to improve the education and to inform residents, but in the same time I think that it's very crucial to understand that existing renovation rates, our houses are getting older and in more bad condition from the technical point of view, and so we need to renovate faster, and therefore we have set this very large aim, 2,000 buildings. We understand that at these rates this is something unrealistic, but in the same time we are working very, very hard to develop these instruments and systematic approach how we can do that. And I think that that's our point of view, that everything is not okay. We understand that, but we are ready to tackle and to move forward.
Great, thanks. Ilse?
Well, yes, thank you. As you mentioned already in the introduction, there is a huge amount of buildings which will still be standing for the next 50 and maybe more years. In the same time, they should be renovated, and there is huge problems not only with the renovations. There is huge problem with the maintenance of the building stock, and those are the questions which are in our working schedule concerning what we can do to speed up those decisions necessary to make, because owners of the buildings are individuals, and I will very much like to hear our social anthropologist on and what should be done actually, how to maybe not with a stick but with a carrot, to speed up the innovation and the decision-making processes, because we quite well know that every energy which we are paying now, it's huge amount from our households' incomes. On the other side, even the proofs that the renovation and energy efficiency issues which are made actually them sees that there is a need for that, still the decision is not made. And that's the main point, how to speed those things up. That's from my point of view. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Martin?
Hi everyone. Yeah, two things like Janis and Ilse said. One thing is just to make decision, and as I was before also in some kind of regional energy agency before I'm starting in CMB, so I saw this process from both sides, and normally if you want to renovate the house and process from start till end, it's take 2-4 years, so it's really slow like time schedule for this, and that's the reason why yeah, we looking for Germany and Estonia experience and try to implement in some way the prefab wooden panels so that it makes this building process much faster, and you don't need to listen for 1 year people who going around your windows by scaffolders and talking in some other languages. So just to find some other solutions which is fastest and much quality, so to do the faster job on building site, and also to find some way how to make those decisions faster.
Great. We already heard like a couple of the solutions as one-stop shop, and also the prefabricated panels, which we will tackle afterwards. I will now ask Carlos, and then Asbjørn for you. But Carlos, how you see it? What's going on with the multi-apartment building renovation in Latvia?
Yeah, not too much, but also as the colleagues mentioned, also quite a lot in terms of trying to figure out the right approach. But I think the field which we're approaching is that, first of all, there's very high inequalities in Latvia. So that is one thing. The second thing, there is very low trust towards the companies, institutions involved in renovation. So this comes to maintenance companies. If we think of Riga especially, we see actually in other municipalities, there are municipal maintenance companies that have made a huge leap, and it has been through people trusting these companies, of leading them through the process. So this is a very big thing that we need to be working. So, and the next part is construction companies and banks, which is the next part where you have quite low trust. And this, of course, if you do have quite certain problems with making contact between people, from one side, there's a lot of effort that goes into most of the people that take the leadership and trying to get the project through. And then you get these things, and then in each of the section, there's a bit of a threshold that you have to make towards maintenance company, and many people trying to believe that this profit will not be made somewhere where they do not want it to be made. And things like that kind of, in our approach might fuel the economy, fuel sort of property values that many people actually find as problematic in many senses in Latvia. So that's interesting as well from that, not the usual kind of capitalism works. But yeah, so this is the field. There's low trust. This increases tensions also between people inside the residential buildings. So this larger context in the end also affects relationships on the spot where people disagree between whom to trust. So this is, maybe that's with the solutions. I think there are quite a few also solutions socially that can be maybe implemented as well. But let's save it for later.
Yeah, for later. Thank you, Carlos. Asbjørn, you heard problems. You heard the challenges. Let's call them as the challenges. So for us, opportunities to be solved. But you are coming from Denmark. I guess we are thinking in Denmark everything should be fine. Every building should be renovated. You have enough money to pay for renovation. How it's going on? How do you feel about sector in Denmark? Are there some also challenges on the table for you in your country?
There are definitely, but it's really interesting to hear from your view the Latvian you can say challenges, because from a Danish perspective it's much more about, you can say, market failures basically. From a economic rational point of view, everyone should renovate and make their buildings more energy efficient, but it's simply not happening. For reasons we can dig a bit deeper into later, but it's really interesting to hear from a Latvian perspective where there might be some other issues, but we are definitely not there yet. I mean, we have for a long time been
Yes, you hear me? Very good. Sorry for my background noise. I'm in Milano airport. I can speak about the Estonian experience on several renovations with prefabricated insulation elements. Yes. Do you hear me? Do you hear me now? Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Okay, so I will give a brief overview about the Estonian experience on serial renovation with prefabricated insulation elements. Next slide, please.
Do you know the average specific consumption of heat in Denmark for buildings?
you got me there.
In Estonia,
Okay.
about 71% of population lives in apartment buildings. And today we have to renovate 14,000 apartment buildings. Next slide, please. The number is a little bit less than we have apartment buildings because some of them are already renovated and some will be demolished in near future. But majority of these apartment buildings are constructed during 50s and 90s, and the service life of these buildings is over or close to over today, and we have to do with these buildings. something.
In
Next slide, please.
But majority of these apartment buildings are constructed during 50s and
And
90s.
if we on the left bottom corner see the construction wave, and if we add the design service life about 50 years, then we can see renovation wave that is waiting us. And on the left side of the graph, we have renovation activities at 2020, and we can see that in total renovation volume should increase about 5 times. And the simplest work is renovation of apartment buildings. But also here, we have to increase renovation volume by 3 times. Next slide, please.
And
next slide, please. And to increase the renovation volume, we have to change the technology, and we have to move forward industrial renovation. Without this, we cannot do this challenge. Next, please. And if we look the development of industry from 1.0 to 2.0 and to 3.0 and to 4.0, then majority of industry is today at 4.0. But let's think where locates the construction industry and renovation industry. If you click once, next slide, we can see that today the building renovation is somewhere between mass production and a lot of handwork. So construction industry is a lot of behind from the industry from other industry types. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. But we have still some very good examples, and I will show some of them to you. The first example is from Horizon Project Morgunekt, where also one building from Latvia was renovated by using prefabricated insulation elements. The project lasted from 2014 to 2018, so it's already 6 years old. But this was a success story where we got a lot of experience. Next slide, please. And behind of that building, we can see that a lot of buildings are not renovated and are waiting the industrial renovation. Next slide, please. And installing of these elements could be made by crane on the track or by using the special crane. Windows are installed to the wall element already in factory conditions, which means that the quality of construction work is much higher. And also the facade cladding is installed in factory conditions. And only small parts of facade cladding is installed on site. And after the wall elements is installed to the wall, an old window will be removed from inside. Next slide, please. This is a second project from Drive Zero.
This was also Horizon project. And in this building, the number of apartments was a little bit less, but the challenge was here that occupants lived during the renovation inside the apartment, and the building owner was the apartment association. So this is a critical solution that we are going to do in coming years. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. Okay, on this video, we can see the renovation process. So the insulation elements were installed directly from track, and therefore there is no scaffolding on the construction site, and people can live in apartment during the renovation process. Next slide, please. This is one ongoing project, and here our challenge is to renovate the 9-story apartment buildings, which is a high-rise building according to Estonian regulation. And in addition to 9-story, we have another challenge. We try to renovate 3 buildings in the same area. So in addition to industrial renovation, we have to move to the neighborhood renovation. Next slide, please. And here we also again started by installing the wall prototype. And the prototype includes several sensors, and we will get information what is the hydrothermal performance of this building envelope, and how is the best way to do the installation of installing the elements. So always we recommend to make small prototype before going to the large scale installation. Next slide, please. And the prototype looks like this. Here we see different facade claddings, and the cladding on the right side, they are PV panels. So the facade will produce also electricity in future. Next slide, please. And government was very successful about the first pilots, and therefore our REDEX, that is renovation grant support agency, started pilot project where altogether 19 buildings will be renovated by using this system, and buildings are from different building areas, Khrushchevka, and different type of typical concrete large panel apartment buildings. Next slide, please. And here is an example of the system where typical Khrushchevka will be renovated by using prefabricated insulation elements. We install on the basement level new supporting line, And windows are already installed on the factory conditions to the insulation element, and also facade cladding is installed in factory conditions, and just the small facade claddings on the corner are installed on site. So the installation or renovation will be much quicker and with much higher quality level. Next slide, please. And but insulation is not the only that we need to do during renovation. We say that insulate well and renovate, insulate well and ventilate right. So in addition to building envelope insulation, we have to install ventilation with heat recovery, and there are several solutions. One solution is to install apartment-based ventilation with heat recovery. Next slide. The second solution is a centralized air handling unit with heat recovery. In this case, ventilation pipes are installed to the insulation elements, and with this we minimize construction works inside the apartment. Next slide, please. Solution for high-rise buildings could be exhaust ventilation with heat pump heat recovery. Next slide. And some years ago, we used also room-based air handling unit with heat recovery. But even this is easy to install, we don't recommend this anymore because there are a lot of problems with this system. Next slide, please. Next. Yes, next slide. And today I showed only technical innovation, but in addition to technical innovation, also social, financial, and juridical innovation is needed. Next slide. And behind this, we have done also a lot of research. So we put together research and practical innovation and document all work that have done very correctly. So this was my presentation, and if you have any question, I'm glad to answer. Done very correctly. So this was my presentation, and if you have any question, I'm glad to answer.
Thank you, Targo. Thank you. It was really brilliant and gorgeous to see what actually really Estonia can do. Even say they are slow, but really quick on these things to do at least quick renovation. Targo, do you hear us? He's still present. I do have a question, really. It's, I don't know, for you, who was the idea driver who went to the ministry that was like university initiative, business-driven solutions which came on the table? How it really actually started? Can you be elaborated on that?
Story for university and also for Estonia. Of course, companies lose a little bit because they made this first time. But today, the company Matek, who renovated the building, produced these insulation elements to Germany, and when he produced all elements that they have contract at the moment, they will be larger insulation element producer in Germany at the moment. Of course, the market is low at the moment, but this is all elements that they have. This is quite success story for them as well. And the government saw that by using this technology, it is possible at the moment. Of course, to do the renovation. We cannot do this by handwork. We have used a lot of construction workers from other countries, but now they are dealing with other challenges and they don't come back. They have to build up the country and we have to find other technologies to renovate our building, and this industrial renovation is one of them. Now they are dealing with other challenges and they don't come back. They have to build up the country and we have to find other technologies to renovate our building, and this industrial renovation is one of them.
Okay, I do understand you started with the pilot project under Horizon 2020 project. You proved it to the government that actually this system is working. How the approach right now is working? I saw the Credex logo, so that's the same Altum in Latvia. They do provide financing for renovation. It's involved already in some programs that people can actually choose this design. And
at the moment, the renovation grant is 50% for industrial renovation. For typical renovation in Tallinn and in Tartu, it's just at 30%. And by using this 50%, the total renovation cost is cheaper when you are using industrial renovation. We have to have a lot of experience. We have to have a lot of practice and good examples to keep this system running and to start this. Without good examples and without the practice from construction, from company side, and also from client side, we cannot do this. We have to support the first pilots from governmental side. Without good examples and without the practice from construction, from company side, and also from client side, we cannot do this. We have to support the grant support is higher side. In Tallinn and
okay, Targo, did I hear right? You said that prefabricated panels are
for
cheaper
industrial
than
renovation
the
is
usual approach.
And therefore the total price is cheaper. Grant support is higher. Total cost
due to the grant. Yeah.
Governmental support is 30%, but for industrial renovation it's 50%.
In Estonia.
The plan is that the system will be like a common system. Of course, there will be a lot of buildings that renovated using the typical renovation, but I think that parallel industrial renovation will be also used. And in future, we don't need to support this system anymore by 50% because when the system goes to the large scale, it becomes cheaper. We can see that it has happened in car industry. If we take, for example, Volkswagen Passat, and we compare what is the cost when the car is produced in the factory and what is the cost when we build the car by hands and by car. So the industrial renovation, industrial production should be cheaper. The industrial renovation, industrial production should be cheaper.
Thank you, Targo. I may use the chance also for panels. Maybe you have some question for Targo. Yes, Martin.
Hi, Targo. One question from our side. If we have such an interest and you have a lot of materials about those renovation, like detailization, specification of all this renovation process, are you able to share this information also for us so that we don't think new bicycle?
Our experience, as I can. Just ask what you're needing, what you need, and we can send it to you.
Great, great, Argo. I will exchange with the contacts with you and Martin, so we will have know-how from you. um, Thank you, Targo. It was really interesting. Now we have to solve or see how we can work out that here in Latvia. So if you are able, please stay in the background and listen. And in case you have some questions, I don't know, maybe you have some have chance also to interrupt. But I really will further continue then for the Latvian situation. We really see that. This discussion about prefabricated panels have been going around for a while. We see that this experience is really used and popular in single house, private house. That's today's know-how, how it's being really used. Targo bit told me that there had been one also project here in Latvia which tried to do something with the prefabricated panel. I'm not really aware of that. I don't know if the panelists, but I would like to ask the question really for Martin, as Martin is representing the CMB housing solution. I have heard that you have gained your muscles lately. You have opened new factory with capacity to produce not only for single family house panels, but if there is demand on this sort of prefabricated panels for multi-apartment, can you confirm it that it is your ambition and you are willing to look on that?
Yeah, thank you. You have a lot of information. Yeah, we start like with single house, like you said, and some modular house, which is prefabricated, but from wooden materials. And now we are open for this kind of renovation or kind of material. And we are really open on it, and we are ready if there is some pilot projects or some interests who want to try this, and Stargo said we will get some more detailization from his side. So we are ready to be the first one who try to go in public sector and government sector. Doesn't care so much at the moment, but just start to something and get the pilot project, get the positive like feedback from this, and hopefully it will help to go forward with all renovation process.
But to keep it really still to the basics, as you have the experience of the prefabricated panels, what are really the advantages? You can reflect on single house families, but the idea is the same. What really are the advantages of these panels, how they work, and what's really the benefits?
First of all, the quality, because those panels are completely made in factory, so without any rain, water, things like this. So we making on stable tables, so we can check all measurements, all dimensions twice or 3 times, or it doesn't much. But this is first thing. Then second thing is that we can install ventilation or recuperation system already in panel, and we install also factory. And last things that we install also like external or this wooden boards, or they are some kind of plates. So this is installed in, and then we just delivering with track and put with crane on facade. So other thing is that for example, if you're living in building which need to be renovated, then you start to calculate from your neighbors, from some other experience, that it will take something like 1 year, maybe 1.5, while everything around the building will be with scaffolding, and maybe windows will be with some tape closed and things like this. So this if you're going in this way, then maximum 1-2 months, and all facade is renovated. So it's really big benefit also for those citizens who live in those houses.
Great, actually, that's really big benefit, because as we have seen lately, the renovation process from 6 months has been extended to 9 months due to the facts of the workforce, lack of the workforces, and also lack of the materials, which we experienced like a year ago. That's really beneficial. Yes.
One more thing that installing of those panels, we can do this also in winter time, so you don't need to worry about weather conditions, minus degrees or something. Like installing we can do also in winter time, so it's make much more increase the speed of whole process.
Okay. We saw from Targo presentation that they install panels already with the windows. So that means that there will be 2 windows, or what will happen with the old one?
So if, like Targ also said, if this is a residential building with citizens inside, so we won't take out windows and then waiting for transport from factory. So we install panels. So on some moments there will be 2 windows, and then from inside we take off the old window and just make around all fittings and all those things.
Okay, great. I would like to, Janis, ask you as ex-energy auditor who was really linked also to calculate energy efficiency, do you see also benefits for these technologies regarding the energy consumption? Can we reach further than class B or class A? So looking from the final energy consumption point of view, these panels give benefits.
Definitely. First of all, I think that's a very good thing that if you look from also circular economy, that the wood materials, so these are also local and less we avoid materials which we import and which are not local. And then from the energy point of view, of course, so ventilation with recuperation of it depends what is the air exchange rate in the building at the moment, but still we need air. Probably if we don't have in the real life the savings from the ventilation point of view, then the air exchange rate has been too low before, and we actually also increase the indoor climate. And I think it's very important that the window is installed in the panels and in the facade, so there's a lot of gains and reduction of all the thermal bridges. So I think that this is somewhere where we need to go. And I think that one of the gains what you didn't mention is that not only it is faster, but the experts needed could not be as qualified as for example in working on the facade. So I think it's yes from all the fields. Yeah.
Yes.
One thing, if I can say, if we can build wooden prefabricated like living house, which is certified by Passive House Institute, so why we can't make some aim and go also with multi-residential building in the same way?
Good point. So we heard yes. What the ministry actually is thinking on this, Ilse, can you bring the light in the room? What's happening in ministry regarding the prefabricated panels? Have you considered something on this?
Yeah, yes.
Which is good, at least. For the yes.
Well, actually, I think it's my personal opinion that prefabricated model of those panels are the win-win situation for the city. The winning situation for the inhabitants of the housing, because they are gaining very quick process, and there is quality in this process because panels are fabricated already in the not on the construction side, so there is no this human factor. Maybe sometimes it's a very short process for the inhabitants to get the results in very short time. And the win-win situation, as I am saying it's because if there will be demand, there will increase action, and so for the industry in general, there is new possibilities for new construction, and actually that's very important to consider. What we are doing this year, we started in Estonia and in our neighboring countries, we have this huge Soviet inheritance. Unfortunately, or luckily, there are not so many series in this typical buildings. So we counted it 9 series typical, which are most popular in Latvia, and a little bit more. But this year we started, and we will elaborate by the end of the year for one of the series, typical renovation project. Which can be multiplied and used in every of this 103rd series. And we will elaborate 3 projects actually. So we will have comparison on the typical how it's renovation. It's one of the projects. The second one will be this prefabricated ventilated project. And the third one is one another. Technical guys
so
will know.
The dry one, which is with the wet plaster, ventilated, say, suffocated. Yeah.
Yes, good. You know better. That's perfect. But our aim is to compare those projects and to give already projects, so it's even if you are not choosing prefabricated as inhabitant as a house, still you can speed quite a lot of this renovation process, because you will already have the solutions and project which you can use. So from our side, we are looking how we will compare those projects, what are the benefits from each of them, and not only on the cost efficiency of each of them, but I do believe that the industry will catch up and the prices will go down, as our Estonian colleagues say. If there will be demand, usually there is enough supply. So this year we are starting with this pilot project of one series, and we will go on with all of the series.
Okay. Is there some deadline also for this when you will have finalized with the inspection of these 3 scenarios?
First series we will by the end of this year.
By the end of this year, yeah.
We have to elaborate all the projects, and so we will be able to publish them.
Okay. Do you have heard the term smartovka? It's really coming from the Khrushchevka, and that is born in Tartu. They have the Khrushchevka type serial building, which they actually didn't renovate it with a prefabricated panel, but did with a very high level of renovation, deep renovation, installing also photovoltaic heat recovery, and they called this smartovka. It's nice and it's catchy word, and I really hope that also for us we can find the solutions, because we have, as you mentioned, 9 types of buildings. They are across the state, in Riga and from all the big cities, and also in parishes or villages, and we can present them. But to tackle on what ministry is doing with these 3 scenarios, will the end product will be like specific design which can be used also for the maintenance company to really do for renovation, or it's really be like analysis of the situation and scenarios without drawings?
No, it will be complete project with all. You can take it and implement. Of course, there will be some adjustments depending on the building, how many kāpņtelpas, I don't know, staircases you have, or whatever, if there is some configurations in the building, but otherwise it will be complete with all the technical drawings, with everything, even with we are involving our consultancy company for technical checks. So it's just take and implement.
Which energy class?
A.
I mean, also because we know, and in the industry we talk about that Estonians have, in good way, lobbied in the ventilation system with the heat recovery. Actually, the specialists did it, and they can't renovate without the ventilation system. That's the thing. Also, is being considered something in ministry, how we reach the level A, whether it's just like by insulating, or we also considering the technologies.
There should be full involved in this project concerning the heating processes, the ventilation, and other things. It's not only the facelift, let's say. Okay.
We heard a lot of yeses. We see that there is bronze of these technologies. Still, ministry. Is there a chance to think a bit further that, like Estonians did, they did bit higher intensity of grant for these sort of panels? Actually, how to bit move further, because we can talk, we can discuss, but to look further, how then we can stimulate people to decide on that way and see some pilot projects?
Well, it can be considered in the future, but all the structural funds are technology neutral, and that's one of the questions which we will consider moving on, because directly we cannot put the bigger grant for this solution. What we can do, we can most probably give some bonus points for the projects which are implemented through higher quality, for example, or speed up of the process and other things. Those things should be considered in the process of the next elaboration of the next program.
Okay. Last question for ministry. At the moment, are there regulatory barriers on this? Do you see something like that?
From construction perspective, construction regulation, actually no. But there is those different other barriers concerning which how the house is voting, and maybe the documentation which is needed. So those are things which we will, if the project will go on with prefabricated things, and there will be manufacturer who is ready to do it in Latvia. So most probably there will be some adjustments.
Okay. So looking also on that, Martin, Janis, as you may be a bit closer for the technical point of view, do you see some challenges really on this technology to be implemented? For example, let's start tomorrow. Find a building. What will be the major problem at the moment?
So we have applied for some also horizon projects with prefabricated insulation. That this is something what we wanted to move forward from the municipality point of view, where the building is public, where we as municipality make the decision. So this, I think that this would be for us even faster how to move towards. Because if you ask me, what is the challenge? Probably to deliver this to residents is the biggest challenge, as we are struggling already now to do the renovation, but to input any innovation, this is the next step. What we need to. So
Okay. Try it.
No.
Turn on.
No. like Estonian colleague also said, it's not just because they want to add 20 extra % of money for this. Of course, if we calculate
engineering systems, some good solutions for reducing energy consumption in buildings. Are you working on that?
Definitely. So, but allow me to start somewhere else, because I think one thing that we must not forget in this discussion about building renovation is also digitalization and all of the benefits that digitalization brings. So of course, you can say insulation is super important. We need a much more energy efficient building stock, both to bring down the energy consumption and make our building stock ready for, you can say, renewable heating. But digitalization brings, you can say, have another some other benefits. It's the energy savings are humongous big, and it's typically compared to, say, insulation measures. It's you can say you can do much smaller investments instead of huge, you can say, renovation projects. You can actually do a lot of smaller things and take some smaller steps before you maybe do the big renovation projects. So allow me to come with a bit of a couple of examples. So digitalization, that can mean it's really a buzzword, right? But what does it actually mean? And from, you can say, from our point of view, for example, some of the things that we manufacture is circulator pumps. And I'm not sure how many actually know what a circulator pump is. Could maybe it's time to... How many of you know what a circulator pump is?
Just raise the hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands know. So
Yeah.
5 people know what's circular pumps.
And I think that's one of the main issues from my point of view, that the awareness of replacing, for example, a circulator pump, it's actually, if you have an old, it's more than 10 years, for example, it's the third most electricity consuming device in your home. And if you replace it, it can bring savings above 10% on your electricity bill, for example. And we simply see that these changes are not happening because the awareness around energy efficiency, you can say, improvements like this is simply too low, and the potential is massive. So we have estimated that globally there are still 200 million old, inefficient circulator pumps left in the building stock, and if we replace all of them, the energy saving would be equivalent to the power consumption of Portugal. And that's just, one example of replacing old energy-hungry devices. It could be the same with, thermostats and old fridges and whatnot. On top of that, we have the entire, you can say, data wave coming in. I had a talk with one of the energy management companies in Denmark the other day, and they mentioned that they had like this ridiculous example of and I think it was some kind of store where you have typically in these you have two, say, heating systems. You have one for the winter, you heat up the building, and during the summer you cool it down. But in many cases, the ones that actually maintain these, they are maybe not professionals and experts on heating and cooling systems. So they might forget to turn off the cooling system during the winter, for example. And then you have two systems competing at the same time to cool down and heat up the building at the same time, which is completely ridiculous. But nobody actually catches that and figure that out, because we don't utilize all of the data we have. And that is slowly coming now, where we have an immense, you can say, potential. And then, sorry, back to your actual questions about prefabricated systems, because that is also very much the way forward. Some of the things that we invest a lot in is thus on district heating. And then you might ask, what is the relevance for district heating when you talk buildings? But the link there is super important. If you don't have energy efficient buildings, you cannot probably improve your district heating network, as we learned on the other panel. And some of the things that we try to do is, can we somehow provide, you can say, we call it a plug and pump, not a plug and play solutions in that sense, where you simply say take controlling systems and just put them in the ground right away, so it's easy to use for example, district heating companies to optimize on the operation of district heating networks. Also, again, using digitalization and all the data you have, because you have so many data points in a district heating grid. Every house, at least in Denmark, has, you can say, a monitor that monitors all of the exact energy consumption, and you can pick up all of that, you can say, data, and use it to optimize on the grid, figuring out, okay, is there's maybe a couple of buildings around that are not performing optimally, and therefore, you can say, affecting the efficiency of the entire network, and then say single those out and actually make the improvements.
You're right, Asbjørn. Those things are really interlinked, showing the data, understanding the consumption. Also, it's really linked with the district heating companies, how the tariff will be then applied. So less losses, less tariff for them. So and then people will also pay less for the heat. These are really linked things, and thank you for that. Thank you actually for pointing out the digitalization, also the point which is very important also for prefabricated panels to make it really precise and accurate, those that produced somewhere like 100 kilometers away and delivered in the place actually fit. That's also very important, so that there is no deviation between the windows and so on. But I think we are really coming to end. We have like 10 minutes left, but we have not tackled one most important question: the people. The people who live in the building, and Carl's understand them. He has wrote the PhD of the decision-making process and people acceptance and
not yet.
Not yet, but you are on the way. Whether shorter period of construction, huger intensity of grants, these things can help people to make decisions. What do you think? Because you mentioned mistrust, and then the company coming and saying, "Oh, we will renovate your building in 1 month." What you are telling, they will not gonna believe it. So how you see these technical solutions work towards positive decision-making process?
Yeah. Let me illustrate that with an example. I can also ask people involved here, if you think certain companies came to your house and they presented things that we presented today, digital solutions, panels, some of these things, would your neighbors be convinced? Or how some of them would, I see someone shaking their head. So this is so my illustration is an interesting one. So I was doing, for example, one interview in Vangas. Vangas is one of the municipalities which has made a huge leap in renovation. Like more than in the last few years, more than half of the buildings are in a process or have been renovated. And I was interviewing one person in his 60s. In one of the buildings that have not been renovated and have not yet made a decision. And what he told was, I think illustrates this pretty well. And he said, but it illustrates the sort of the good example, the way, as you mentioned, it's a market failure from one side, right? It's a market failure, and it's a failure to also consider efficiencies, and also from a personal budget point of view. From the business standpoint, it's a no-brainer not to do it. But from an everyday standpoint, where most of your expenses are food and all of that, it's complex. To make this decision and to think this way is a big leap. So what he said is that, well, everything will be renovated. They need it. It's gonna be renovated. And he said it in a way that it might be in Vangas where everyone's doing it. This is sort of the perspective. But from his standpoint, he thought that he doesn't need it. He thought they need it. The companies, the municipality, state, everyone needs it. I don't need it. They need it. They're gonna do it. They're gonna come in my house. They're gonna shape it, and it's gonna change. So actually, how to make the step to for the person to believe that they need it as well, or that they have a benefit out of it. And this is a bigger question. Again, this is a question of welfare policy in Latvia. This is a question of how do you make certain also policy solutions that make low-income households sure that their expenses are not going to increase to an amount that they will have serious trouble, that they have experience in their life. This person, they were 3-person household, and their pensions were very low. So this is a thing. Even though he kind of had a bit quite of trust in the municipality and so on, but this was not easy thing to just take this step. So this is one thing. There's also another paradox which actually comes, and there's been polls, there's been surveys in Latvia, and actually in them, most people say that they would like renovation, and that and we've done also workshops with people we've invited from all over Latvia representing, and renovation does not cause any ideological problems. People believe it needs to be done in some sense. But when you come to the point where you have to trust the specific maintenance company, trust these building companies, construction companies, sort of go to the bank and ask, and you know that banks don't give you mortgage. And in Latvia, so many people are excluded from any opportunity for a mortgage because they don't have the income. And then, knowing that and knowing certain history in Latvia regarding banks and so on, so this is the next sort of leap of trust that you need. Even if as we discussed, we fixed the technical solutions. Our Estonian colleague said, there's this technical solutions, there's the financial, there's the juridical and the social ones. So it sort of comes together in that sense. If we make the process faster, if we make the process easier, which is very important, as Janis mentioned at the start, trying to lead the process, maintenance company taking, or Riga Energy Agency taking the lead, or as we see in many municipalities in Latvia it works, there's very good project leaders from the maintenance company or from so that take the process to it and make people also trust this process. So and also of course if we think of the people within multi-apartment buildings that take the leadership, because they are the ones, and usually if we see the process, the person who convinces the most is someone from the building, and this is a kind of and also the person who convinces to vote against is also the person.
But that's the common thing in these buildings. So that that local one usually will be whether the motivator or demotivator, if we can call it like that.
And not necessarily one. In all cases, several, a team. Like you need a team in a sense. So in some cases it's one person, and usually this person knows kind of has experience maybe in the state, has been worked for state institution, or has worked for a business, or has a good case and good trust in institutions in that sense that they can try to also say that this process might work, and they understand Altum and they understand all this things. So that sort of makes it work.
But because we are really short with time, but to summarize, you have concluded and see that there is higher trust, because the trust I see several times is being mentioned, trust in public sector, like one-stop shop can help in these matters. Whether there is need of ministry really going to the meetings, I don't know. Have you concluded which are that points which change and may increase the trust in these problematic buildings?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big case. We see it we see in other municipalities in Latvia and quite a few that it works. It works with current funding sources or even without them. So it works if you gain that. If you have lost trust, as Rigas pārvaldnieks has in many estates, they are, then it's hard, of course. So that's another thing. But yeah, and these solutions, of course, they help. So this is a thing. What I mentioned before we end. So there are actually a few others. Like, I mean, in Riga, we were also considering that for the strategy of housing in general, because that's a part of housing strategy. But one thing is some kind of more incentives for the people as well in the residential housing. So who are the owners themselves? What works in some other countries are actually non-governmental sector, social entrepreneurs coming in. So to actually facilitate this process. In some municipal housing companies, for example, in Austria, they have mediators. You don't only have the technical specialists, but you have mediators that come in sort of trying to help with all kinds of organizational details that need to be sort of sorted. Because otherwise, one person has to go to every apartment and talk. And in big apartment buildings, it's a job. So you need someone who does this like a job, in essentially. Of course, and when you have, as we see in Anna, when you have some of these done, then the process goes. The neighboring housing estates say that, okay, we saw this building and we also want it, and then somehow it starts, going towards the market.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I always have believed that engineers can't actually provide understandable information for simple residents. Maybe the social anthropologists, psychologists, and the mediators or social entrepreneurs has to do it. That's really the big question, and so on. Oh, yes, we have like 20 seconds, and then we are really on the end. I think we had a really good discussion. We touched solution, which is prefabricated panels. I really hope that in upcoming year or two, we will see the first pilot project. As we see, there is entrepreneurs who are willing to deliver. We just have to find that mediator who can explain the benefits for that resident, and I'm really convinced that there is way to go with that approach as well, and there are benefits of that. Ministry says that they are working on this, also considering there have been some discussions going on, and they do some designing and analysis of different scenarios, so things are going on. I really hope that one-stop shop will be as the potential mediator to bring the information, and to finalize. I think at the beginning I asked how you recognize, how you describe the building sector. There were like red and one yellow card. I would like to hear if there is optimism still in the room, and you believe that we can reach with the targets and at least renovate 2,000 buildings in Riga. So we had like 2 votes. But to finish on this good note, I say thank you to the panelists, Carlos, Hasburn, Martin, Chils, and Janis. I had really interesting discussion. Thank you for your attention, and see you in other meetings. Thank you. In renovating buildings. Yeah.